بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد طب القلوب ودوائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد كلما ذكرك الذاكرون وغفل عن ذكرك الغافلون. Today we have congregated to cover a subject which is theoretically understood by many but practically becomes very difficult because the very theory that they have learned is incorrect, which is how to further studies in what is known as Dars-e-Nizami or the Nizami syllabus, named after Siyal-ud-Din Nizamuddin as-Siyalwi rahimahullah ta'ala. Nizamuddin as-Siyalwi was the one who formulated a syllabus known as Dars-e-Nizami. The very inception or the start of the syllabus is with books on Arabic grammar, on morphology and Nahaw, which is Arabic syntax. And one of the first phrases you learn when attending a class is As-Sarfu Ummul Ulumi wal-Nahwu Abuha, which means Sarf, morphology, is the mother of all the sciences, wal-Nahwu Abuha, and the Arabic grammar or the Arabic syntax is the father, meaning a person cannot enter knowledge except by learning Sarf and Nahw. This is why many times in the past as well, students who have started studying have requested from me to explain to them how even the tables of morphology, Sarf, how they are to be understood, because simple concepts are not clear in their minds and therefore they find it very difficult to enter studying. But the very inception, the start of studying, is with Sarf and Nahaw. When studying this syllabus, you would have to keep in mind that there are 4 stages to studying. The most difficult stage is the first stage. So when a person joins any madrasa, school, or any circle, halqatul ilm, a circle of knowledge, I would advise them to keep 4 marahil, 4 steps in mind. And remember that the most difficult step is the first step. In the first stage, a person will learn the sarf tables, the tables of morphology, what they call gardan in Farsi, and they would have to memorize these gardan tables. But alongside this, they would have to learn syntax, Arabic grammar. But most people who ask regarding Dars-e-Nizami will say, we want to learn Arabic. They mix up learning spoken Arabic with the Dars-e-Nizami syllabus. The purpose of the Dars-e-Nizami syllabus is not necessarily to teach people spoken Arabic. This is why there are so many scholars from the Indian subcontinent who have studied in depth great works, but they are unable to speak Arabic because they have not lived in an Arabic speaking environment. So the purpose of the syllabus was not to make people speak. Yes, it is introduced in madaris across the Indian subcontinent today. The Arabic speaking courses have been introduced where scholars are trained in giving sermons in Arabic as well as conversational Arabic. But the mistake many people make is thinking that Dars-e-Nizami will teach them how to speak Arabic, because the intention of some people is only to converse in Arabic. But the purpose of Dars Nizami is not to converse in Arabic, but to understand Islamic sciences, learn the sciences of Islam. Primarily, you would say, those Islamic sciences which are the goal would be summed up in three ulum, three sciences. Number one, Al-Qur'anul Kareem wa ulumuhu, which is the sciences of the Qur'an, which includes commentary on the Qur'an, how to study the Qur'an, how to approach the Qur'an for studying. The second would be Ulumul Hadith, which or Ulumul Hadith in Nabawi, which is studying the prophetic narrations. And the third would be Ilmul Fiqh, which is jurisprudence. This is the goal of studying, to understand Al-Qur'anul Kareem, to understand the ahadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to understand fiqh, jurisprudence for our everyday Islamic life. And whenever people have questions, they can ask those people who have studied. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of remembrance if you do not know. So when entering this course, the very first intention should be, I am studying this course in order to understand the Qur'an and its sciences, in order to understand the ahadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Qur'an and the hadith being the principal sources of Islam. And I am studying in order to understand the books written by the ulama in explanation of the Qur'an and the Sunnah. The intention should not be in order to learn Arabic to impress people, that I can hold a conversation in Arabic, or I can write in Arabic, or I can read in Arabic. If this is the intention from the onset, then you have failed at the first step. Now what happens with this first stage is that people stay on theoretical Arabic or theoretical grammar for too long. A book like Nahw Mir should not be studied for more than 3 months. Nahw Mir should not be studied for longer than 3 months, maximum 5 months. In this particular translation, the chapters have been divided into 20 sections. So the book Nahw Mir, the original book, is not in chapters. The book is one text. But this has been divided into 20 chapters. So if a person paces themselves, they can learn a chapter a week. If they learn a chapter a week, they will finish the book in 5 months. A chapter a week. Now what makes study difficult for people is that the book originally, the first book a person studies in grammar, is written in Farsi, and then it is taught in Urdu. Then the student makes notes in English. Even if the book is taught in English, it becomes difficult because a person does not have an English text to refer to. Because sometimes you may sit in a class, you hear the teacher talking, speaking, lecturing, teaching, but not everything will enter the mind. Some things you may miss. So you may need a book to refer back to in order to memorize an actual text. What I wrote at the back of this, students should not spend more than 3 months studying this text prior to applying it, meaning applying the text by reading Arabic. Many students lose the zeal to study if they are kept on theoretical Arabic for too long. Theoretical Arabic for too long. What happens in some madaris? People study sarf and nahaw without applying the sarf and nahaw onto a text, without reading for longer than a year, and a student begins to feel insufficient, unable to study Dars Nizami. They begin to think they are unable to do so. So they suffer from a burnout, that they think that they do not have the mind to do this. But in reality that is not the case. The reason why they go through this is because the lack of English texts or an English translation of the Nahw Mir itself as well as being unable to keep up with note making and then referring back to those notes and then becoming confused because lack of application. What they did in the old times, or even in Pakistan today, they have something known as Majmu'atu Nahmir. They teach this Majmu'atu Nahmir. First they have Nahmir. So the student learns Nahmir, and then they apply Nahmir. After the completion of Nahmir, they begin to read Arabic texts. So straight away they move to Arabic text. So one of the first texts they do is khulasa, which means summary. This is a short text. So the student, after memorizing Nahmir, so if you take 3 to 5 months to memorize this book with the teacher, straight away you move on to stage 2. What is stage 2? So remember, the author of this book, Ali bin Muhammad al-Jurjani rahimahullah, who passed away in the year 816, he mentions at the beginning, in the introduction of the book, he states, for the novice student, after memorizing terminologies of the language, familiarizing oneself with the derivatives of words, and developing precision in the critically important aspects of Arabic morphology, the student can with great ease utilize this knowledge to understand how Arabic is composed. So what, in the theoretical period, the first period, what should a student have done? Memorized mufradat, Arabic words. So a book should be memorized with Arabic words. Learn the meanings of those Arabic words. Alongside this, learn the sarf tables. Read the sarf tables to a teacher, and learn the Nahmir by heart, the entire book by heart. This is the first stage which a student should not feel insufficient or unable to carry on. This, in reality, even though this stage has been made difficult for people, in reality the stage is simple. If you really think about it, all a person would have to do is memorize sarf tables, Arabic words, and the Nahmir. Once they have memorized these 3 things, they are to apply this by reading Arabic texts to a teacher. This is the second stage. The second stage of Dars Nizami, where a student is able to read Arabic text or learns how to read Arabic text correctly. This is the second stage of Dars Nizami. This stage can take up to a year. So the first stage shouldn't take longer than 6 months. If you are spending more than 6 months, and I would say if you spend more than a year just learning theoretical Arabic, then you are wasting your time. If you spend more than a year is pushing it. In reality, it should be done in 6 months. The second stage, what they would do is they would teach books like Khulasa, Jumal, and Tatimma. These are short Arabic texts. Khulasa is a summary of Nahu written in Arabic. And then Jumal is a summary of all the different types of sentences in the Arabic language. And Tatimma is a completion of the subject of Nahu. So a student can acquire photocopies of these 3 small texts. And another text I would recommend is Khulasa Kaidani, which is a small pamphlet on Salah and prayer. So if a student reads after finishing one book in Sarf, vocabulary, a good amount of Arabic vocabulary, and the Nahmir, memorize the Nahmir, they are ready for stage 2. In stage 2 they can read Khulasa, Tatimma, and Jumal, small texts. Remember, you do not parochially have to stick to these texts. A teacher can choose different texts for your training. So depending on the teacher, he may choose different texts. But these are recommendations. And another text is Khulasa Kaidani, which is a small pamphlet on Salah and prayer, alongside with the Arba'een of Al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimallahu ta'ala, 40 hadith. So a person will read these to a teacher and gain proficiency in reciting Arabic without tashkil, meaning the vowels, as well as the book Sharh Miyati Amil of Abdul Rahman al-Jami rahimahullah, the commentary on the smaller text of Abdul Qahir al-Jurjani rahimahullah ta'ala. So once a person has completed these texts, he should be able to read Arabic to a level which is sufficient. Then they are ready for the third stage. What is the third stage? The third stage would be reciting one book to a teacher in every science. So in Sarf, a teacher may decide to teach a Shafiyah or Ilm al-Sigha, which is available in Arabic also, in Sarf. In Nahaw, a teacher may decide to do Hidayat-ul-Nahaw, and Hidayat-ul-Nahaw is the standard text in Dars Nizami. In Balagha, they may choose the book Durus-ul-Balagha. Remember, Durus-ul-Balagha is not an original book of Dars Nizami, it was introduced later. But some teachers may choose another text in Ilm al-Balagha, but as long as the person covers one text in Balagha. In Mantiq, logic, the student may read Al-Mirqat of Fadl Imam al-Khairabadi rahimahullah, the father of Fadl al-Haq Khairabadi. But this again is a later addition to the Dars Nizami. Some teachers may choose the text Isa Ghawji of Athiruddin al-Abhari rahimahullah, passed away in the year 660, a smaller text in logic. So you have a text in Sarf, a text in Nahaw, morphology and grammar, then a text in Balagha, rhetoric, then a text in logic. Then in fiqh, jurisprudence, the student will read Nur-Lidah, because the Dars Nizami syllabus is devised for the Hanafis. But if they are Shafi'i, they may read Matnul Ghaya wa Taqrib. If they are Maliki, they may read Al-Murshid al-Mu'in. If they are Hanbali, they may read Mukhtasar Khirqi. So different texts according to the school. So Nur al-Idah and Al-Quduri. Then in Usul al-Fiqh, they may read Usul al-Shashi. Usul al-Shashi is the standard text of Dars Nizami. And then in Usul al-Hadith, the student may read An-Nuzhatun Nazar of Al-Hafiz Ahmad bin Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah ta'ala. In Hadith itself, they may read Mishkatul Masabih of At-Tabrizi rahimahullah ta'ala. In Ulum al-Quran, they may read Al-Fawz al-Kabir of Shah Waliullah rahimahullah, or they may read Zubtatul Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran of Sayyid Muhammad bin Alawi al-Maliki rahimahullah, or the contemporary book of Shaykh Sabuni, At-Tibyan fi Ulum al-Quran, whichever book their teacher may choose. Then in Ilm al-Kalam, they may read a book like Al-Ma'rifa of Abdul Karim al-Rifa'i, or Sanusi's text, As-Sughra. So like this, in every science they must read one text, complete one text cover to cover, and learn the text completely and master that text. So this is the third stage of Dars Nizami. When the student has completed this third stage, they should be proficient in understanding Arabic and reading Arabic. But not only reading Arabic. See, the target goal is not to only read Arabic. The target is having a good understanding of each Islamic science, in every science. Then the student is ready for the fourth stage. Now I believe if a person reaches and completes this third stage, for many people this is sufficient. They can read books on Islam written by the previous classical scholars and contemporary scholars. They should be able to do this. They've had sufficient training to read books on Islam. But some people would want to progress. This is the fourth stage. But remember, the stage 1 and 2 and 3 are difficult stages, the most difficult being stage 1. with stage 4, a person would want to complete the entire Dars-e-Nizami syllabus. Now in each science, the classical Dars-e-Nizami have certain books, and then at a later period the scholars added books. Some people tend to say that if you want to become a true scholar, you would have to stick pedantically to the old Dars-e-Nizami syllabus. Is this true? I would say no. They are missing the purpose of the syllabus. The entire purpose of the syllabus was to create a malaka, an ability within the student in each Islamic science. The purpose was not to stick pedantically to a group of texts. This is not the purpose. So in the classical syllabus, you had in Balagha, Ilm-ul-Balagha, you had Talkhis-ul-Miftah of Abdul Rahman al-Qazwini rahimahullah, and then you had Mukhtasar-ul-Ma'ani of Sa'd-ud-Din al-Taftazani, which is a commentary on Talkhis. Then you had Al-Mutawwal, which is a longer commentary on the text of the Talkhis. These are the 3 books studied in Dars-e-Nizami in Ilm-ul-Balagha. If a student studies all 3 books cover to cover with the teacher, he may in some cases know the book, and in many cases not even know the book, because really a student only masters a book once he has studied the book, he has taught the book numerous times. He will master the book. But the purpose of teaching these 3 books was in order to make the student have an ability in Ilmul Balagha, in the science of Balagha. The purpose is not the book. The purpose is the science itself. In Nahaw, for instance, the syllabus is Nahaw Mir, or they may study the entire Majmu'atu Nahmir. Then they study Sharh Miyati Amil. Then they study Hidayatul Nahaw. Then they study Al-Kafiyah of Ibn al-Hajib. Then they study Al-Fawaid al-Diya'iyya, known as Mullah Jami by Abdul Rahman al-Jami rahimahullah. After this, the student should be proficient in grammar, Nahaw. But is the purpose the syllabus or the subject of grammar? The purpose is the subject, because a teacher could replace those books. He could teach them the other works like Awdahul Masalik, or the Sharhul Alfiya of Ibn Malik, the commentary of the Alfiya of Ibn Malik. Or they can teach them Mughni al-Labib instead of Al-Fawaid al-Diya'iyya. The purpose is not the syllabus, but the purpose is having a mastery over the subject. In the same way, in Sarf al-Nahaw, Balagha, in Mantiq, the old Dars-e-Nizami syllabus will have books like Majmu'atul Mantiq, which has Sughra, Kubra, Ta'rifat, Ta'riful Ashya, all these different works in there, Isa Ghawji. After this, at a later period, the work Al-Mirqat was introduced. After this, they study Tahdhibul Mantiq with the commentary of Sa'd-ud-Din al-Taftazani rahimahullah, the commentary of Mullah Yazdi. And Sa'd-ud-Din Taftazani is the author of Tahdhibul Mantiq. On that work, Mullah Yazdi has a commentary which is known as Sharh al-Tahdhib. This is what they call the book. This is the book studied after Al-Mirqat. After this, they study Qutbi, which is a commentary of Qutbuddin al-Razi on Al-Risalatu al-Shamsiyya in Mantiq. Alongside this, they will study the commentary of Sayyid al-Sharif, the author of Nahmir, on Al-Qutbi, known as Mir Qutbi. Then they will study Sullamul Ulum by Muhibbullah al-Bihari rahimahullah, and its commentaries like Mullah Hasan, Hamdullah, Al-Qadi al-Mubarak. These are different commentaries on Sullamul Ulum, which is in Mantiq. They finish the Mantiq syllabus with these works, and there are other works as well. But after having studied all these books in Mantiq, is the purpose to know the books of Mantiq, or is the purpose to know the subject of Mantiq? The purpose is to know the subject of Mantiq. Some people, they will come to read advanced text with me, And when we cover the text, so if we read an advanced text in mantiq, when we use simple mantiq terms, if we say this is qadiyya hamliya, or this is qadiyya shartiya, or muttasila and munfasila, and mani'atul jama' and mani'atul khulub and haqiqiyya, or we go into the taqsim, the different types of qiyas, istithna'i and iqtirani and tamthil and istiqra'. When we use these terms, the student should already know these terms, but what they expect from the teacher is to break down every single term for them in the text. So when you do not do this for them, they will complain that the teacher is not teaching correctly. But the reality is the teacher is teaching correctly. You are not prepared to understand that text. You should read a more basic text and understand those terms. So there are some people in Talkhisul-Miftah, we may come across a sentence where the author will say, this is like a qadiyya muhmala. Now they expect me to explain to them what qadiyya muhmala is, when in reality, if you're reading Talkhisul-Miftah, you must know the definition of qadiyya muhmala from the back of your mind. A person should know this. So this is why it is important to understand the third stage. In the third stage, I said a basic book in every science must be mastered. So when you advance yourself in a particular science, a person will be familiar with the terminology. In mantiq, if you master 130 terms in the third stage, you will have no problems in studying any book of mantiq. In the same way, in philosophy, in falsafa, they study works like Hidayat-ul-Hikmah of Afiruddin al-Abhari and its commentary by Mabdi, and they also have a commentary by Mullah Sadra. Again, or other works in philosophy like Shams-e-Bazigha. If a person studies this outdated Greek philosophy, does it mean that this outdated philosophy can be applied in the modern age? The answer is no. But what it will give them is an ability to read books of kalam, ilmul kalam. So the purpose of studying these outdated books on philosophy was that when you read something like Sharhul Mawaqif is also by Sayyid al-Sharif, the author of Nahmir. When you read something on the text al-Mawaqif by Adaduddin al-Iji rahmullah, when you read something like Sharh al-Mawaqif, you should be able to understand when they refute philosophers, because you have been trained in ancient philosophy. In the same way, when you read Sharh al-Maqasid or the Sharh al-Aqaid of Taftazani rahmullah and its commentaries. But some people, if they study all these books, they are still unable to apply these sciences in a modern context. What is the purpose of studying the books of mantiq and the books of outdated philosophy? Remember, in mantiq and philosophy, they are not given as much importance as ulum al-Quran and ulum al-Hadith. Ulum al-Quran and ulum al-Hadith and fiqh have more importance. But if someone studies outdated philosophy and outdated mantiq and they are not able to apply this in a modern context, there is no need of studying all those books. Some people therefore ask, when we study Dars-e-Nizami in this country, should we leave our academic studies in university? I would say no. Every or majority of the Dars-e-Nizami students must apply within the arts. They must apply in courses like philosophy, study sociology, theology in university. They must be equipped with Western academic studies also. I believe this. And is this possible? The answer is yes. We have living proof today within our circles of knowledge that there are students of knowledge who attend classes every day for 1 to 2 hours and who have applied in courses in theology and history and other subjects, even medicine. Students who have applied in medicine. So does a person need to drop out from college and school and from university to learn Dars-e-Nizami in the UK? The answer is no. And the living proof is the classes taught by myself and other teachers in this madrasa, in this school, in this masjid, that we teach classes and we have students who attend university also. When these Dars-e-Nizami students attend university, what subjects must they do? I believe they must study the social sciences, they must study the arts, they must study philosophy in order to refute philosophy. They must study sociology because of all the social ills we have in our society. In the same way, they must study history. They must study all different liberal arts. If they decide to go into medicine, that is also good, so they can give fatwa in the future on medicine. No Dars-e-Nizami student must make their studies an excuse for leaving Western academic studies or any other academic studies. Because so many people, when they drop out of school, or they drop out of college, or they drop out of university, make Dars-e-Nizami a second choice. In reality, dropouts, people who refuse to go to university or refuse to go to college, should not be accepted in the Dars-e-Nizami classes. They should be told to find a job and work. People who study academia must enroll into Dars-e-Nizami, and they are able to do so alongside with their Dars-e-Nizami studies and their academic studies. So then the advanced subjects also go into al-fiqh. So a student may study in the fourth stage al-Quduri, Kanzu al-Daqaiq, Sharh al-Wiqaya, al-Hidayah of al-Marghinani. This was the classic syllabus. What is the purpose of studying all these books? Is the purpose to say that you have finished all these books? Or is the purpose to give you jurisprudence? The purpose is to give you jurisprudence, malaka in al-fiqh. Unfortunately, so many people within the Dars-e-Nizami subculture in the UK compete with one another in order to say, I am the only one who has studied X and Y and Z book from cover to cover. But the same miskeen will be unable to stand to trial or to test when they are tested on that same subject. If anyone makes claims, remember, if anyone makes claims, they will be tested according to their claims. This is why in my old classes from 7 to 8 years ago, I taught the students that there are no claims. From the onset, a student and a teacher should not make claims regarding their learning. They should not make claims that we are the only people who have studied the books of mantiq in their entirety. So if you meet someone who knows mantiq, you will be tested on your mantiq, because you claim to have studied all the books of mantiq. So leave this competition, because there is no competition. If you have ability in any of those subjects, your ability will show itself. You do not need to boast regarding your ability or how much you have studied, because the purpose of the syllabus again is to give you ability in that subject. In the same way, they have books on usulul fiqh, the legal theory or principles of jurisprudence. So they will have, after usul al-Shashi, in stage 4, they'll have books like Nur al-Anwar, which is a commentary on the Matn al-Manar, then of al-Nasafi, and Nur al-Anwar by Mullah Ahmad Jiwan, rahimahullah. Then you have books after Nur al-Anwar like al-Husami, Muntakhab al-Husami, which is by Husamuddin al-Ikhsikti, rahimahullah. Then you have books like 3 books in one, which is known as At-Talwih wa-Tawdih ala Matn al-Tanqih. One of the authors of that is Sa'aduddin al-Taftazani, 3 books in one. Then they have a book known as Musallam al-Thabut, again by Muhibbullah al-Bihari, the author of Sullam al-Ulum in Mantiq. These are the texts that they have in Usul al-Fiqh. Unfortunately, in Usul al-Hadith, I would say in the subcontinent, this is their weakest field. Because in Usul al-Hadith, the madaris tend to have only a Nuzhatun Nazar. Some of them have a Nuzhatun Nazar and maybe 1 or 2 other texts. This is not for all the madaris in the Indian subcontinent. There are some madaris which have an excellent Ulum al-Hadith program. But then in every subject like this, they will have a set number of books. Now what some madaris do is remove some books and add some books. So, and some madaris will choose to teach portions of books. So Kanzul Daqa'iq, they will teach a certain portion of it. Sharh-ul-Wiqai, they will teach a certain portion. The purpose of reading these books is to give you ability to be able to pick up any book on fiqh and read and understand what the author is saying. It is not that I have finished the syllabus cover to cover, but yet when you will ask them from another book and they are unable to open the book and explain a passage from that book, or they are unable to understand basic concepts. This happens sometimes because of such students. Books are delayed. For instance, if we decide to study Musallam al-Thubut or At-Talwih wa Tawdih ala Matn al-Tanqih, or a book in Mantiq, an advanced text in Mantiq, what happens is while going through that text, a student who hasn't done who may have done the previous books but still doesn't understand Mantiq as a subject as opposed to a book, will continuously interrupt the teacher and ask for basic definitions. And because of this, the book is delayed. Or when studying, this happened with me when studying Al-Jami' of Al-Imam al-Tirmidhi rahimahullah. I covered Al-Jami' al-Tirmidhi with a particular teacher, cover to cover. But because of students who were not proficient in Ulum al-Hadith, the book was delayed by 2 years. It took us 2 years to read Al-Jami' of Al-Imam al-Tirmidhi because they were not proficient in Ulum al-Hadith. So this fourth stage, again, is multiple books, and I would say the students need to leave competition. Madaris also need to leave competition. Teachers need to leave competition, because it is not a competition. The purpose of studying قال الله وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم is in order to learn the Islamic sciences. This is why the first hadith a person learns is the hadith on niyat. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Actions are judged by intentions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable our intentions to be correct and make us change our intentions. Jazallahu anna Sayyidina Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam ma huwa ahluh. Jazallahu anna Sayyidina Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam ma huwa ahluh. Jazallahu anna Sayyidina Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam ma huwa ahluh. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.